Hey guys, and welcome back to WebMD&DM, where I diagnose the discussions that take place around my table while playing both games, the Dungeons and the Dragons. And once again, it is time for our monthly unboxing video where we crack into Dungeon Crate and take a look at some of the goodies that are inside of that. This is the third Dungeon Crate box I received. The first one included Xander's Lost Orb, which they have used in a lot of their promotional work recently, as well as a wooden D6 that is one of the crown jewels of my collection. The second box that I received was a little more low-key. It had a giant D20, but overall not a lot of interesting things. Now, for this box, the Dungeon Crate people have been speaking about an adventure that's contained inside that's supposed to be a continuation of the adventure used in Xander's Lost Orb from the first box in this video series. This is one of the first boxes that Dungeon Crate has actually attached a theme to. This month's theme is Against the Dead Hands, which is, I believe, the name of the adventure that they're publishing. And next month's theme is Nerdarchy, which, for those of you on YouTube, will know that Nerdarchy is actually a YouTube channel that talks a lot about D&D. I have not witnessed any of Nerdarchy's content. I tend to bounce off of stuff like that pretty heavily, which is kind of ironic considering I run my own YouTube channel pseudo-dedicated to that. Anyway, here's this month's theme and here's next month's theme. So, I'm really excited to see what that adventure entails, so let's go ahead and crack into this box, eh? First off, we have our Dungeon Crate checklist of things that are contained within the box. It looks like there's going to be 8 items inside of this box, as well as their, of course, digital crate information that you can go to. It has a lot of homebrew mechanics, as well as artwork and breakdowns of the adventure, maps, all that sort of stuff, which is very useful if you're interested in the stuff contained in this box. So the password is contained in this little thing, so it's a rather useful item. But anyways, into the rest of the box. Very next thing inside the box is the Against the Dead Hands adventure, as mentioned in their theme. You can see that the artwork seems to be different from the Xander's Lost Orb artwork that was used last time. It appears that this is an adventure in roughly the same style as the other one, which is a short adventure with design more around level 3 characters, and more of an infiltration style. And it doesn't seem to be based on what I'm seeing here. It's not based around a lot of combat. It's more of an infiltration and it's more like a heist adventure is a good way of putting it, I think. It appears that the Lord who hired our adventurers in the last adventure is still in trouble. He wants the heroes to investigate the dead hands based on their attempted pilfering of his grandfather's tomb and figure out what they know, get any information they can out of them, and then escape back and report to him. He is still busy dealing with the orcs from the last adventure, so he does not have the men to deal with this, conveniently enough. And overall, it seems like a really cool adventure. I have long wanted to use Xander's Lost Orb. It seems like a really fun little short adventure one-shot type situation I could use. This continues it in very much the same format. This would be great for urban campaigns and things like that. Overall, A+ for the adventure. Next up, it appears that Reaper has returned with a bunch of minis for this box. You can see right here we have a mimic or mocking beast for the trademarking. It's essentially a mimic. It's a chest with kind of like a little leg there to kind of stand off of. It is their bones line, so it's made out of the lightweight white plastic. But I don't have a mimic mini, so this is rather convenient for me. I just need somebody to paint it, and I would be happy to unleash this on my players. Although now that I think about it, all my players are 3rd or 4th level, so they're a little too high level for one mimic. I might have to do like 3 or 4 mimics. Oh, isn't that convenient? In the same vein, they also included a pack of large crate and small crate, which I believe this is supposed to be dressing and minis used in the Against the Dead Hands adventure. So apparently you fight a mimic and you are infiltrating a thieves guild with lots of supplies, so obviously you'll need the crates. And they also included a Veloa female elf thief from their Legends series. Now this is solid pewter, so this is a pretty good mini. I have always been a fan of the pewter models. This one will join the collection of unpainted pewter models that sit on my shelf waiting to be properly decorated, I suppose. So overall, I got a really solid pewter mini from the Reaper's Legends. I got 2 solid Bones minis from their Bones series. The Mimic, which is great. I don't have one, and I've always thought that they were a fascinating beast. Large and small crate would go great with some of the window dressing I unboxed in the unboxing with my friend Paul that I did previously. And if you liked that video, I might be doing a similar one for the latest Tombs and Traps set that got unleashed for Tomb of Annihilation. Also a case incentive. I'm on the fence, I'm not sure, but a lot of that window dressing stuff, the potions, the scrolls, the traps, the bedrolls and backpacks, all of that stuff I really enjoy, and now I have crates to go along with my sacks of gold, so that's pretty cool for me personally as a DM. Next up, we appear to have a treasure deck. Now, this is something produced by the people over at Nord Games. It is a 5e designed deck. It is essentially a deck of cards, but if you look at the cards, they're not playing cards, they're treasure charts. So basically what happens is, we have defeated the goblins on our random adventure that we totally surprised the DM with, and now we find his loot. Now we have to divvy up the treasure, so what treasure do they get? And the DM says, hold on a second, and he pulls a couple cards out, and he says, roll d12s, and then he says, you find a crate containing a sledgehammer, crowbar, miner's picks, a bunch of other stuff, and an ale-stained roll of paper containing a recorked wine bottle containing a viscous red fluid, which is a first-level bard spell and a potion of healing. I've always been a fan of these styles of the GM in a pocket type thing. It's designed to make the forethought less of a issue, and you can just sort of be like, I need some treasure, flip, 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 okay, now I have some treasure. This will go along great with my Axebane's deck of many dungeons, which I used in a recent one-shot while up in Canada, and that was a lot of fun because basically the Axebane's deck gives you a dungeon and it gives you charts to fill in the dungeon with monsters and traps, and then at the very end the heroes defeat the monsters, and it's all good fun. So, this is something that I will definitely find interesting. I'm not sure when I'll use it because a lot of the times that I generate treasure, I use the D&D 5e rules found in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and I will add more treasure on top of that. So I might use this if I get thrown for a loop and the heroes defeat something that I wasn't expecting, or maybe as pocket change. But overall, it's just a cool thing to have. A good way to demonstrate how to generate some quick treasure if I need to. Now, the final item in the box actually contains 3 of the items represented on our little checklist here. You can see inside of there is, it looks like 3 tiles of some kind, some sort of mini that goes together with a clear item and a small wooden chip right here. Now, basically the way that it works is that these 3 brown tiles here are supposed to look like parts of the floor until you step on them, and then you can see there's a spike pit, there's a pit trap, there's a trap disabled mechanism. All of these are basically just supposed to be little markers that you can put on your battle mats. Now, I like the idea of having markers, but the problem is that usually if I put a marker on the battle mat, it is very obvious that something is going on there, and the players are not going to step on it for fear of it being a trap. So what I would be more likely to do is put these on the battle mat at choke points, which is where people would obviously put traps. But these tiles wouldn't represent where the trap is. These tiles would represent being next to where the trap is, and then the players will shift around it. And then, in a sense, they pay for their metagaming knowledge and step on a trap. That is how I would handle that sort of situation. Overall, I really like the look of them. They are very well made, wooden. Looks like they were laser cut, if I'm being entirely honest. But yeah, I think those will be a really nice addition. I've always had a hard time figuring out how to label traps on a battle mat. The thing that I've normally done is I will literally put a pile of rocks on the battle mat next to where the trap is supposed to be. And then people will go either through the rocks or around the rocks, and I'll also throw in like a pile of bones over on the other side or something like that. Something so that it doesn't look as obvious when they step on the trap. Next up, by the same folks who made everything inside of this little bag, the people over at Advanced Deployment, they created this little invisible rogue figure. He is supposed to be, as his token says, hidden, and so you can represent your thieving rogue figure with this clear black figure. You put him on the battle mat, and then he is stealth or invisible or whatever the term is being used. And it comes with this. I'm not sure what to do with this. It looks nice. It might just be some window dressing or something that got thrown in. This I could definitely see some practical application, especially if you don't have a lot of invisible minis. I have a small collection, not as many as I need. This would be fairly useful for, say, Lysander, who is Warlock, potentially multi-classing into Rogue, or Asuna, who is a straight-up assassin rogue. She would probably greatly benefit from a mini like this. But those are both really cool markers that I can use in my game. I tend to run a lower res game. Like, my battle mats are made out of gaming paper, which is basically just wrapping paper that they put a grid on. I like using those. I use small window dressing to kind of enhance the battlefield. I don't go over the top. Like, Matthew Mercer can go really extravagant with his maps, and it looks fantastic when he does so. I cannot do that. I do not have the money or the means of getting enough dwarven forage to make something like this. It's fantastic. It's beautiful in every sense of the word. I'm just not going to be able to pull that off anytime soon. And the final piece of accoutrement from the people over at Advanced Deployment is what they say is the Dead Hands token, basically an entrance token. You would use this to show your allegiance to the Dead Hands. And actually, I believe in the adventure, there is a spot where there are some traps, and the way to disable the traps is to put your token into the slot, and that will disable the traps, and they will be allowed to maneuver into the Thieves hideout. So that's really cool. It gives you a nice little prop to hand to your players after the game is over, or if you don't run that adventure, you could use this as, say, an inspiration token, or as the mark of a different Thieves guild that you might want to incorporate in the future. So that's really cool. Hopefully I don't lose it. That's my only concern, but it looks really cool. It obviously took some time to make, and yeah, I'm glad to have it. And of course, we can never forget the box itself. Once you clear out the packing confetti, you can use these boxes as transports or as small treasure chests. I actually did spend the time to figure out how many coins would go inside one of these, and said, so if you have a chest this big, it can fit that many coins. And so that way I can give my players a physical representation of how big of a lockbox they are carrying around with them, full of all of their loot from the Goblin Horde or wherever. So that's really cool, and honestly, waste not, want not, right guys? So that was Dungeon Crates against the Dead Hands themed July box. Overall, I give this a solid B+. It's not as good as the one that came with the D6 that had been wood carved and the original Xander's Lost Orb. That one is still top of the list, but this is a close second. The Dead Hands adventure looks really interesting. Having even more Reaper minis, including a Mimic, which is amazing. Having all of that stuff is definitely a great way to put this box together. I'm really looking forward to the Nerdarchy box that'll be coming later in this month by the time you see this video. Sorry for the delays. I was busy with trips out to Chicago, visiting friends, and up to Canada. I didn't get a chance to get this box until it was July 28th or something like that, and then I had to shoot the video and edit it and put it all together. So you'll probably be seeing this sometime in August. Look forward to their next box. Let me know, what did you think of the contents of this box? Did it cause you to be interested in subscribing to the folks over there? Did my content interest you in subscribing to me? Then please go right ahead and hit that subscription button. Overall, I really enjoyed this box, and I can't wait to see what they have next time. So feel free to leave any comments in the doobly-doo down below. I hope you all have a lovely day, and until I see you next time, take care.